What's going on, guys? Cubeologist here, and today I'm going to show you how to keep your cube feeling like new. So if you've been cubing very long, you probably have heard somebody say that their cube died on them, or they used to like the cube and they don't anymore because it has a different feel after you solve it a bunch of times. Well, my theory is that you can attribute most of this to just needing to clean the cube out and just generally keep maintenance up on your puzzle. So what I'm talking about is if you have resistance when you're turning, when you first start turning the side, and there's a little resistance before it actually gets going, that's one sign that you need to clean it out. If the cube feels bumpier than it did when you first started using it, that's another sign that you need to clean it out. That means there's a buildup on the inside. And just stay mindful of how many times that you've actually lubed the cube since you've last cleaned it out. So I've lubed this probably 6 or 7 times since I cleaned it out. This is my backup along, and I used to solve this puzzle all the time until I got my Lubix version. So this probably has, I don't know, about 1,000 solves on it since I cleaned it out last, and I can tell that it definitely needs it. I got it back out today just to see if I could do some solves on it, and I could tell that it felt really bad compared to my other one. It's more bumpy, and I just generally don't like the feel. And I know what people say when they say it feels like it died on them. That's what this cube feels like, but I think I can bring it back. So what I'm going to be using today is just some soapy water and paper towels. You can get more fancy with this using Q-tips or different, pipe cleaners or whatever you want to do, but just to keep it simple, this is all I'm going to be using today. So let's take the cube apart and look at the pieces. Alright, so looking at a couple of the pieces here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a buildup of, I don't know what that is. It could just be dust mixed with lube. It's really gross. It actually isn't as bad as I thought it would be because this cube felt horrible. But there's a buildup along these tracks here, in this little indentation. It's all around the edge down here. And it just generally is pretty filthy and it needs cleaned out. So what I'm going to do this is simply get a paper towel. You can do this dry if you want to. It just takes a little longer. I like to use some type of grease cutting like Dawn or Palmolive or some type of dish detergent like that to clean the cubes. Just put a little bit on your paper towel and get to cleaning. And as soon as you do this, you can see that all kinds of stuff comes off the puzzle instantly when you start cleaning. And you can tell that it's already going to make a big difference. And you don't even have to be that thorough. Just get the large stuff off of there like that. And just take a look at that already. You can see that this is just down to the plastic. You can see some marks here. But go ahead and cover the whole piece down to the stock. You want to get all the lube off because we're going to re-lube the puzzle when we're done. And you don't want to leave any of that residual stuff on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all the pieces. And I'll be right back with you guys. Pause the video here if you're following along. Alright, so now that you've completely cleaned off all the pieces, you want to put them aside, and now we want to take a look at the core. The core is actually where most of the buildup happens. I feel like there always seems to be a cat hair or something in there. It's really gross. But go ahead and take the caps off here. And then just unscrew everything from the core. Now if you take a look closely at this core, you can see this black liquid kind of looks really gross right around the ring there, and it's on most of the sides, what I haven't wiped off already. But that liquid right there is going to be lube. It's got some plastic that has came off of the pieces, kind of eroded into it. It's got probably metal from the screws. That stuff will eat away at your puzzle. So the longer you leave that in your core, the worse it is for it. So you want to go ahead and wipe the core off as best you can. And here's where you might want a pipe cleaner or something. I don't really do it. I feel like it's maybe unnecessary, but I might be completely making a mistake because it's more than likely going to be down in there. I don't know if you can, maybe twist a piece up and clean that out, but I really don't ever do that. I think it's unnecessary. But just to get it off of the pieces where it rubs against the bottom of the centers and the screws, I think is best. So once you've got that cleaned up, you want to take apart your centerpieces, even get the washer out and set that down. And then you want to go over your centerpieces as best as possible with a towel and getting all that off of there. You can see all this residue that's coming off of that centerpiece just by wiping around the tracks and where the screw meets the core. And once you've got the center completely wiped off of all the residue, you want to get the screw with the washer and the spring, and you can see that the bottom of the washer there also has that residue on it. So go ahead and kind of polish the washer as best you can. Don't take too much time because this is a small step, but I just like to get all of that stuff off there. That black residue has to be bad for the cube. And then take the spring off, and don't get the spring wet just in case it's not completely coated. You don't want it rusting in your cube. So I just use a dry part of the towel and clean the spring off as best as possible. And then take the screw and hold your paper towel over the screw and turn like you're screwing it into the paper towel, and that will clean out the threads. And you can see there that it gets pretty dirty. It gets that black residue in it that I find in the center of my cubes all the time. And like I said, I thought it was me. I thought I was, I had a dusty place or something for a little while, but I've talked to some other people and it seems to be pretty common. So we want to get rid of that as much as possible and clean the head of the screw also where the spring meets it. And then do all of your centerpieces and hardware, and I'll be right back. Alright, so once you've got all of the core, all the hardware completely cleaned off and wiped down, then you want to go ahead and reassemble your puzzle and lube it to your preference. If you don't have a way to lube your cube and you happen to have an O-long, go ahead and click right here. And that is my how to lube an O-long tutorial. So that'll help you set up your cube if you don't know how to do it yet. But if you're advanced enough and if you've been solving long enough to have to clean your cube out, you probably know exactly how you set your cubes up. So go ahead and do that, and I will do the same. Alright, so as you can see, guys, I got my cube put back together. I lubed it. I just used weight 5 and then Maru inside, but it feels really good. There's absolutely no resistance when I start to turn one of the faces really slowly, and that makes me feel good. And the cube is actually tensioned a lot more even than it was before. I guess it had somehow, one of the screws had loosened in the course of me solving it so many times. So that's another thing that this is good for. And if somebody says that this isn't worth it, just take a look at that. That all came out of the cube, and I could have probably been a lot more thorough. So all that gunk was inside of there, just eating stuff away, making the plastic feel not as soft as it is, and making it feel gritty. So I'm really happy that I took the time to do this. It actually took me about 45 minutes to do all of this correctly, and I'm really glad that I did. But if you guys do this and it works out for you, let me know down in the comments. I'd really like to know if you guys implement this, and let me know if it brings your cubes back to life. But this has been the Cubeologist, and I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.